Friday edition of Notre Dame Daily, of course, brought to you by Fan Arch. I'm Pete Mulroy, and I opened today's program discussing the recent presser for new Notre Dame defensive backs coach and co-defensive coordinator, of course, that being Aaron Henry. The first-year Domer was hired away from Illinois a few weeks back, as we know, and immediately, and I mean immediately, meshed himself very nicely into the Notre Dame football program, known for his ability to relate to his players, overall player development, and an incredible knack for identifying talent out on the recruiting trail. Henry arrived as the ideal follow-up to Mike Mickens, who, of course, parted for the NFL this offseason. In discussing his new role, including how different it is going from defensive coordinator, a role he held the past 3 seasons in Champaign, to now coaching the secondary specifically, Henry also talked about the talent he absorbed on this Irish defense would help make that transition a bit easier. He also highlighted the fact here that it's not his goal to change anything with the ND defense and in the secondary, but to further elevate the immense ability of the D-back room as a whole, saying, quote, "My purpose isn't to change anything. It's just to help tweak it, refine it to make it better. It's already a really talented group. That's all I want to do, and that's a credit to Coach Ash and Coach Mickens," ending that part of the quote. Henry would also touch on how much he's looking forward to working with both Leonard Moore and Christian Gray, the latter of whom could move to the nickel next season, which would allow the Irish another defensive weapon onto the field. More in transfer DJ McKinney. Henry speaking that working with Gray on the inside and outside would give Christian more of an opportunity to showcase that overall ability and talent, something Irish fans have seen throughout his career, though I know not without frustrating moments at different times. 4-year player at Wisconsin from 2007 to 11, Henry played for Chris Ash, who he is beyond elated once again to work alongside in South Bend. Quote, "Coach just deals in facts and reality," Henry said about Chris Ash's level of detail. He's a very detailed and data-driven human being. He operates in reality and just deals with the facts. He always had me prepared, and a lot of my coaching techniques and fundamentals and overall mechanics, I think, originated from him, end quote. Now, I'm willing to bet, had Henry been on staff last season and made those comments after Notre Dame's first 2.5 games, Irish Nation would be up in arms about both how he and Ash were lousy hires. But as we know, the Irish defense, led by Chris Ash as coordinator, righted the ship to become one of the top defenses in the country while boasting one of the best secondaries and turnover-forcing machines in the sport. Bring in a guy like Aaron Henry, well, that should really only help to elevate this entire team overall, and that includes what he'll do for Marcus Freeman and company on the recruiting trail. He's a great fit, and his press conference was enjoyable as we got a really nice look at how approachable, realistic, and positive Aaron Henry truly is. It's tough to lose a guy like Mike Mickens, and Aaron Henry making mention of that and giving credit to the work Mike Mickens did as a recruiter to help build the Notre Dame defense and then really construct what is the nation's best secondary. Now Aaron Henry walks into a situation where, to use his own words, he doesn't necessarily have to change anything. He can work toward even elevating that group even more, working side by side with his former coach in Chris Ash. So I think it's exciting to see what this Notre Dame defense becomes from what it already is, which, as we know, from top to bottom, all 3 levels, is a damn good unit. A little recruiting chat now, and the Irish are very much in on a local kid, which is great news for the program and something that's going to make fans happy. And you may have seen this. Notre Dame has a hotbed of talent that we know exists in its neighborhood by way of Chicago. And for the longest of time, fans have been yearning, yours truly included, for the program to be more consistent from a traditional high school recruiting standpoint in the area of Chicago. With that in mind, current Brother Rice defensive tackle Braden Parks has the Golden Domers in his top 8, which is big news. Ohio State, UGA, Oregon, the Hurricanes, Illinois, Michigan, and Tennessee round out the group, which, as you just heard, is a nice one. 6'2", 305-pound 4-star, one of the premier DTs in the 27 class, and with the Irish continuing, as we know, to work toward bulking up both lines. Again, areas you can never have too much ability in, right? Parks makes loads of sense, not to mention plays his high school ball right in their backyard. Young man who registered 30 QB pressures for Brother Rice last season. He was the co-defensive player of the year in the Catholic League and a massive part of the program's Class 7A state title. And a matter of fact, in that championship game, talk about how guys step up in big moments. Parks did exactly that when it mattered most, picked up 6 tackles, including 4 for loss in the title game. So he's got a knack for performing when the lights are brightest, and that's a huge deal. From a talent perspective and a profile, great lower body strength, anchor ability. Those traits allow him to blow through double teams and give him the ability to just blast through the line of scrimmage, which allows him to then get into the backfield of the opposition. He's a quarterback nightmare, and he's a good run stuffer as well. So it's no surprise that the teams I mentioned, including Notre Dame, would be in on the Brother Rice start. He's the type of young man and player any team would want. And for Notre Dame, it's a program that is very much in the mix here. As we start to go further and further along, and we saw this with the 25 group, that great 26 group, and now 27. Time passes. Notre Dame's got Junior Day coming up. You get the Pot of Gold Day. You get into the spring game. You'll have prospective players in attendance for that, you would think. A couple of guys will, as a matter of fact, that weekend be on campus, the April 25th time period. It goes quick. So you make the impressions now during this upcoming offseason or this current offseason heading into 26-27, you get the attention of these kids. In that 27 class, it's already off to a great start, and it's starting to become a great piggyback to the 26 haul. You get a kid like this to come in from your own neck of the woods, that's a big deal in an area Notre Dame would love to be more consistent in and do a better job in, that Chicago area. A lot of talent out there, and it'd be great to see a lot of these kids play in South Bend. And with the NFL Combine, as we know, set to begin in the April NFL Draft, of course, approaching, teams continue to prepare their player boards in anticipation of the 7th-round selection event. One of the most coveted players in the entire pool, to no surprise, former Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love. An easy first-round pick. It's expected that J. Love earns selection in the top 10 of this year's draft, though top 5 is on the table as well. Among the potential teams in the market for a running back, with top 10 picks, Tennessee Titans, they pick 4th. Arizona Cardinals, they could look to bulk up and best player available mindset. A lot of teams will do that in this draft. There's a ton of talent. Cardinals pick 3rd. Kansas City Chiefs, it looks like they're going to lose their running back, specifically Pacheco, in free agency. They have the 9th pick. Makes a lot of sense there. But another team who could serve as a fit for Love, and it's just ironic that it happens to be the team I've been a lifelong fan of the New York Giants. They hold the 5th selection. Given the Giants are set at QB, at least they hope, with Jackson Dart, and they've got weapons outside. Malik Neighbors when healthy, Tyrone Tracy, a returning Cam Scadaboo, and a solid offensive line. First-year head coach John Harbaugh may opt for that best player available route, and he's certainly no stranger to hammering the run with uber athletic and physical players. Just look at the time he spent, the 17 seasons he spent coaching the Baltimore Ravens. The run game, and not just at the QB position with Lamar Jackson, was a big part of his offense. To that extent, I do think Jeremiah Love makes some sense for New York at number 5. You can never have too much talent. Jeremiah Love, as we all know and we saw during his time in South Bend, is simply different. And again, as a lifelong Giants fan, they need as much help as possible from players special and gifted like Jeremiah Love, and he fits by those measures and then some. I can always get on board, and I'm sure my NFL fans, whatever team you root for, can agree with selecting a player with this type of profile. Love can help, and especially from a running back perspective, he's the type of kid that we saw at Notre Dame can help in both the run and passing games as a weapon, and he serves as a plus blocker. And he's always been a very willing and efficient pass blocker. So we'll see what happens here. Jeremiah Love, any team would love to have him, but he gives you that duality of being able to run the rock with speed, shiftiness, and some power. Asset in the passing game when you put him out wide or in the slot or out of the backfield, as we saw Mike Denbrock do. But he's a plus in blocking, and that technique is only going to get better as he progresses in his professional career, which will begin with selection in the upcoming April NFL Draft. Look, you go best player available, and you like what you have in certain spots, a guy like Jeremiah Love is there, it's going to be really hard for any team, regardless of what they have at the running back position, to say no. For my Giants, I know you got a returning Scadaboo. Tyrone Tracy just had a 1,000-plus yard all-purpose season. It's going to be really tantalizing to flirt with the idea of taking Jeremiah Love or passing on him. But we'll see what happens. No reason to spend too much time on this final segment of the week, but USC has filled the opening on its schedule that traditionally had belonged to Notre Dame with a, shall we say, less challenging opponent. A new admit to the Big Ten, San Jose State will serve as the Trojans' season opening opponent on August 29th in California. USC wants an easier path to the CFP, and I suppose you can't blame them for that. I mean, again, Indiana ran through the Big Ten, but their non-conference schedule was nothing to brag about. And I know Notre Dame had a fairly easy path last year after losing in the first 2 weeks of the season to two perennial powers in A&M and Miami, two teams that went to the CFP. So USC looking for a fairly easier path. And look, they've been doing everything they can to duck the Irish for future games. I know Trojan Nation will disagree with that, but that's a fact. You got your wish. Now you'll have the Spartans instead of the Irish when the new season begins. With that, have an awesome weekend. I had a great time with you, as always, this entire week. I'll see you all Monday. And as always, go Irish.